With Antonio Conte, the new Spurs manager, I'm looking at 5 potential transfer moves for the Italian in North London. First off, and he's going to have to bring in a new centre-back, and that is because, well, we've seen in Antonio Conte, he loves a back three, and Spurs just do not have 3 top-quality centre-backs at the minute. Romero has come in the summer and proven to be a very good signing, and it looks as though he will be first-choice centre-back, and alongside him, you've got the ever-impressive Japhet Tanganga, who seems to have a huge ceiling of potential, but on the left-hand side, you've got the likes of Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer and Joe Rodon, who will probably all benefit from being in a back three, but don't really scream top-class centre-backs. Because of this, Conte has been linked with quite a few centre-backs, and all 3 of them being from his former club Inter Milan. You've got Skriniar, Bastoni and De Vrij. Now, I don't think all 3 of them are going to join, and it may be unlikely that even one of them will join, but if Spurs can get rid of a few players, free up some space in the squad, I'm sure they'll be able to bring in another centre-back, because converting full-backs into centre-backs, the likes that Conte did at Chelsea with Azpilicueta, may not work so well at Spurs, with it either being Matt Doherty, who's far more attack-minded, or Ben Davies on the other side, who doesn't quite look like he's at the level he was before. And actually, speaking of converting fullbacks into centre-backs, what about converting fullbacks into wing-backs? That is probably what's going to be happening at Tottenham. Emerson Royal and Matt Doherty on the right-hand side, both on paper look like they could fit into an Antonio Conte system. They get forward very, very well with bags of energy and stamina from the right wing-back position, but aren't necessarily good enough when it comes to playing in the attacking positions. I say that despite the fact that Matt Doherty got quite a few goals at Wolves, but this is a bit of a new level for Spurs. Thing is, when you look at Antonio Conte's previous teams, the likes of Marcos Alonso, you've also got Victor Moses, and of course Achraf Hakimi at Inter Milan, they are not only contributing, but contributing consistently to the attacking phase of play for Antonio Conte's side. They are the width, they are the attacking presence when they get forward, and it's proven with the amount of goals and assists that those 3 names that I've just given got when under the tutelage of Conte. On the other side, Sergio Reguilon looks like he will be a very, very good fit, but behind him, like I mentioned with Ben Davies, he's probably going to be more of a left centre-back than a left wing-back. Of course, if he doesn't fancy either of those right-backs, there's Manuel Lazzari, who's been linked with Spurs. The Lazio winger actually made his Italy international debut under Antonio Conte a few years ago, and it looks like he may be able to sign on the cheap as his deal runs out in 18 months' time. Of course, if you look away from all of this and look at what else Antonio Conte does with the wing-backs, he often converts wingers into wing-backs. Look at Victor Moses, like I mentioned. The thing is, I can't see this happening at Spurs. Like, realistically, it's not going to be Heung-min Son. So you're looking at the likes of Steven Bergwijn or Lucas Moura, who, whilst have very good attacking qualities, I really can't see doing so well when it comes to defending. When Spurs have got their backs against the wall, there's a 5-man defence, and you've got Bergwijn and Moura tracking the opposition wingers. I'm not so sure it's going to end too well for Spurs. The third transfer move is looking at the centre of midfield. Now, a Conte system often plays with a deep line playmaker who can screen the defence. That is absolutely perfect for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. That's done and dusted. The Dane's brilliant. He's going to fit in very well into this team. But alongside him, there's a question of getting the best out of Tanguy Ndombele. When he's at his best, there is utterly insane skill and he's a joy to watch, but it's all too few and far between glimpses of his quality. The thing is that most of the time, Conte likes these box-to-box, lung-busting midfielders like Brozovic and especially Nico Barella, and it doesn't look like Ndombele is going to be able to fit into that role. If he does, great. Spurs have got an absolute gem on their hand, and they should do because he costs quite a lot of money. But if not, there's going to be a few players who are going to be linked with that role, and one of them is Franck Kessié. The AC Milan midfielder is running out of contract at the end of the season, so Spurs could wait till then to get him on free, or even negotiate a cheaper price for AC Milan in the January transfer window. Not necessarily the most box-to-box, so maybe Tanguy Ndombele is going to have to be in the centre attacking midfielder role, the furthest forward of the midfield 3, but that, I think, is going to be reserved for one other player who we'll get onto in just a little bit. Alongside this, there's also Oliver Skipp, who could have quite a good role, but really when it comes to this attacking quality and getting into the box late, the only other one I can think of is Dele Alli, and well, he appears in my next transfer move. And that is because number 4 on this list is Dele Alli, along with the likes of Ben Davies, Harry Winks and Davinson Sanchez, may be the deadwood that is needed to get rid of in order to bring in a bit of money to Spurs so they can spend it in the transfer market, and on top of that, free up some space in the squad. Now, I'm not saying they're bad players, they just aren't really fitting into this new sort of Tottenham system. My theory is that, especially with the likes of Dele Alli and Harry Winks, they were brought into the first team under Mauricio Pochettino. They learned everything under Pochettino. They really sort of adapted to his style of play and they suited it, and he knew how to handle them as he took their progression from young players into very good first team players. But now that Pochettino's gone, it just coincides with the fact that especially the likes of Winks, Ali and Ben Davies as well just haven't really been able to adapt to a new manager, to a new playing style, to a new system, and it's really seen them struggle at Tottenham in the last 18 months to 2 years. Of course, this could completely change under Antonio Conte, but I don't really think it will. And if he can identify sooner rather than later who to get rid of, like I mentioned, it will help Spurs bring in some money and free up some spaces in their squad. And lastly but not least, one of the biggest transfer moves that Conte is going to have to deal with is partnering Harry Kane. So, we've spoken about it a million times. This 3-5-2 formation relies on a fantastic partnership. You saw the likes of Eden Hazard behind Diego Costa at Chelsea, and of course, who can forget Lautaro Martinez alongside Romelu Lukaku last season? Those two were absolutely insane, taking Inter Milan to their first Serie A title in 11 years. So it looks as though Spurs are going to have to bring in a partner for Harry Kane. And I know what you're thinking, Matt, what about Heung-min Son? He'd be absolutely fine. I'm not so sure he'd be the best option to be a partner up front for Harry Kane, because Son does a lot of his good work in other areas of the pitch. That is why Dusan Vlahovic would be a fantastic signing. The Fiorentina forward is scoring a ridiculous amount of goals this season. With his contract running out at the end of the campaign, the Italian club will be desperate to get a little bit of money for him. Otherwise, they'll be losing him on a free. That is like with Franck Kessié, where Spurs can sweep in January and try and bargain for a better deal. Of course, with such a ridiculously good young striker, Spurs are not going to be the only ones in the queue for his signature, so I have to do some sort of battling. But if they get him in, they've got not only a good partner for Kane, but someone who could replace Kane as well, or at least be a competitor if the English forward is out of form. That's what is happening at the minute. Kane is none the greatest for form, but you can't not play him, because who else has Spurs got to play up front? And what that means for Heung-min Son is that I think he could be deployed in this attacking midfield role, because he can get involved in everything. Heung-min Son's brilliant at linking up the play. He can get close to the centre midfielders and pick up the ball. He can get close to the forwards and get the layoffs or the knockdowns, or even running behind the likes of Kane and Vlahovic, let's say he joins, who both aren't necessarily the quickest strikers on the field, but are brilliant at hold up and link up play. It basically means that in this rigid, organised system that Antonio Conte likes to play, with everyone set in their positions, Heung-min Son could be the one and only who's got a free role to buzz around and basically do what he wants. And when we've seen he's on this top creative form, he could be an absolute menace. So there you have my 5 transfer moves for Tottenham. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out everything else we've got going on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.